What's up, everybody? Welcome to another 5 and 5, where I'm going to spend 5 minutes talking about a beer and 5 minutes talking about a random topic. Today's random topic is how to get through your Steam library, or maybe some things to think about during your Steam library perusing when you're trying to decide your next game. I'll be drinking a Energy City Brewing Rosado Sunrise Sorbet IPA, pink guava and orange India Pale Ale featuring Galaxy hops. Here's a little peek at the can here. All right, hopefully my beard's not too bushy. You're just gonna give it a little, it says give it a roll, but I'm giving it a little bit of a shimmy shake. You'll notice that I'm doing a lot of fruity IPAs these days. Maybe about time to transition into something else, because I've been drinking a lot of fruity IPAs. There's a little something in the glass there. Don't love that. Oh, that's on the outside. Cool. Can't get it off. It's probably paint off my fingers from painting minis. That's what we're going to assume anyways. All right, so let's go ahead and dive right into this. So first thing we're going to look at, we're going to take a smell. Oh my God, it smells like freshly squeezed orange juice. Got kind of a nice cloudy color. Looks like a mix between guava and orange juice for sure. You can see you've got a little bit of opaqueness to it from the intensity of the fruit. So this guy is like, you know, this is more fruit than beer at this point, I would say. Just by looking at it, you can tell. And there's even, if you look at the bottom, maybe, I don't know if you can tell from the top, but there's it's not very thin, right? There's a lot of a body that you can just see in this beer before I even taste it. Got a good carbonation. The carbonation is dense and it's packed in there. It had a little bit of foam when I poured it, but then it died, but I can see bubbles kind of dissipating at the top. So this is definitely nice and carbonated. So we're gonna go ahead and take a taste. Definitely has a bit of fruit particulate in it. I'm getting a lot of orange on the first sip. And my preferred way of tasting now, this is super pretentious, but my preferred way of tasting is to take a sip and gulp the first, like take a sip that you can gulp the first mouthful, and then take a second mouthful and swish the second mouthful around your mouth. And the reason why I do that is because I find that it doubles the sort of your perception of the beer. You get the sensation of it going down at the same time that you're getting sort of the taste on your tongue and your lips and on your teeth. So if you're ever doing like a taster and you get like those little tiny 4-ounce tasters at a brewery, should those ever open again and we can, you know, go to them safely, my recommendation is you get a pour that's big enough that you can at least do 2 of those. So my preferred sort of tasting portion is 10 ounces, specifically in that regard. You could probably get away with like 5, 6 ounces if you do, you know, a couple small sips like that. Anyways, back to this beer. So the taste, first sip was very orangey. I'm gonna go in for a second taste here and see if I get something different now, because I typically do on the second taste. I get something different than the first taste. So the second taste, I don't get as much bitterness. First taste was a lot of like orange peel bitterness. Also, I'm gonna assume some of that was from the Galaxy hops, mixing with sort of like the orange peel flavor that I was perceiving. Second taste is a lot sweeter because the bitterness is already settled onto my palate. I don't perceive the bitterness as intense on the second taste. I'm getting a lot more sweet this time. The mouthfeel, very, very, very nice. It has a thickness to it that I find really pleasurable. I would say if you're the kind of person that gets juice without pulp, or you're just an avid hater of pulp, you might not find this as pleasant as I do, but I don't mind that at all. You can actually see on the side of the glass there, there's like fruit bits just sitting on the side. So like I said, this is just a super, super, super fruited beer, probably not fermented out. So there's a lot of residual sugar left over in this beer from the juice and from the fruit that's there. We're going to take another sip, and then we'll talk about overall pleasure. Oh man, that's good. Let me check the AVB on this, because this is going to weigh into my decision here. So this is 6.4% alcohol. There's virtually no heat on this beer at all. I don't taste the alcohol at all. You can see me kind of taking big gulps here, and I'm totally fine with it. I find this an extremely pleasurable IPA to drink, maybe because there's so much sugar in it from the fruit. If you're into bitter and hoppy, you probably won't like this beer so much, or it won't interest you. But it is a New England style IPA that isn't like mashed at a super high temperature or just tastes like candy on the palate. It does have like a very pleasant fruit flavor to it that I very much enjoy. Energy City has been killing it with these sorbet IPAs as far as I'm concerned. I've just drank so many of them now that I'm kind of immune to them, right? It's like, hey, I'm gonna have another great sorbet IPA. They're all fantastic, and they just have different fruit combinations. But I'm amassing a quantity faster than I can drink. So, in terms of pleasure, I would find this extremely pleasurable, extremely crushable, which is dangerous for an old guy like me. So would definitely find myself drinking this happily, doing sort of anything. So I give it a 2 thumbs up. I don't know. Maybe we need a scoring mechanism in here. Leave a comment down below if you have a suggested scoring mechanism for my beers. I don't like scoring because for me, the mid scores means I would order it again. Like if I have a 3 on Untappd, that means I would order it again. Okay. So that is the Rosado Sunrise Sorbet IPA, Pink Guava and Orange, featuring Galaxy hops from Energy City Brewing. Let's talk about your Steam library. I had a really good conversation with a friend the other day where he was looking for things to buy on the Steam winter sale. And he noted that every game that he went to purchase that he saw on the storefront that he wanted, he already owned. And that is crazy to me. That is absolutely crazy to me. He was going to purchase games that he already owned, ostensibly already owned, and had not played. And that got me thinking, right? Do I do this? And then I went and looked through my Steam library, and I noticed that I had something like 400, 500 games. And that doesn't necessarily mean anything, right? Because there's a bunch of games that you get through bundles. You get through, I've had Steam since I was in college. So, back when CS was 1.6 or what have you, 1.5, I've been a Steam user since then. So I've been amassing games for quite a long time. But what that does tell me is that we are becoming more collectors than we are becoming gamers. And that's not necessarily problematic, right? But it does mean that you should become more conscious of what you're spending your money on. And why you're spending your money on these things. This is really, really, really apparent with guitarists. So I'm going to shout out to my guitarists out there who spend a lot of money on guitars and pedals and amplifiers and thinking about all the gear that they need, but then never actually spend time practicing. And having that thought process, buying something on a store makes you engaged with that hobby without actually engaging in that hobby. You're engaging in consumerism, which gives you that dopamine rush in your brain, makes you happy, makes you feel like you're getting better, but you're actually not doing anything productive. So how does that translate over to my Steam library? What that means is you should spend less time on the Steam store and you should spend more time in the actual games themselves. I find that I have a ton of anxiety starting a new game. And the reason for that is, 1, I don't know if I'm going to have time to finish it. 2, I don't know if I'm going to enjoy it. That's the big one, which kind of splinters off into these other things that I'm going to talk about. Most modern games require way more time to finish them than sort of, maybe like a 10, 20 hour experience. It's rare that you find a great 10, 20 hour experience game, and that's really more what I'm in the market for these days. Those are really tough to find these days. And most of the open world, sort of the larger games, dropped my pop socket. The larger games out there have these complex systems that a person like me cannot casually engage with, right? I have to I have to learn the optimization of them. I have to learn what they are. And those are readily available in the form of guides these days, which to me also spoils the magic of the game if you're constantly tabbing in and out. Which is another thing that I struggle with, is I constantly have a chat. If I'm on my computer, I have a chat program up that is constantly distracting me from enjoying the game. So if I could distill this down into a few tips, I would say first, decide the kind of game that you want to play. Do you want to play a long game? Do you want to play a story-rich game? Do you want to play a game that is bite-sized like a roguelike where you can have a quick play loop? Decide what kind of game you want to play. Then don't feel bad about purchasing a game if that's within the type of genre that you want, that you're currently lacking. For example, I really wanted a roguelike that was like the card builders. I had Slay the Spire, but I really wanted Monster Train, so I went and bought it. I played the living bejeebus out of Monster Train. I still play it a lot, even though I had a bunch of other games that were on my list. I just really wanted that game, and I play it, and that's the important thing. If you're playing the game and having fun, then more power to you, right? And then the last thing that I'll say is, as part of the game that you decide to play, you should decide what's going to bring you joy. Is it playing a game for the narrative experience? Do you want to play a game and engage a community at the same time? Is that part of your enjoyment of the game? Does the game have to be multiplayer, right? There are a lot of different facets to this that you can kind of explore as part of the thought exercise of what game you're going to play next. And I'm going to give you all permission to not finish the game that's on your Steam list that you feel you should play. Don't feel like you have to finish a game. Just like a beer, if it's not good, it's not worth drinking, it's not worth playing. If you're not enjoying it, put it down and walk away. You might come back, you might enjoy it some other time, or you might not. You might never enjoy that game, you might never come back to it, and that's okay too. The important thing is that you're spending your time in a way that brings value to your life. Well, that's the 5 and 5. Talk to y'all later.